between them have won 97 Scottish League titles in 121 years. Rangers have won 54 of those, a record in world football. But while Celtic are qualified for this year's Champions League knockout stages, Rangers are in the 4th tier. UEFA Cup finalists themselves just 4 years ago. The Light Blues beat Villarreal, Werder Bremen, Sporting Lisbon and Fiorentina before losing the final to Zenit St. Petersburg. Now though, after beating some of Europe's biggest names, Rangers find themselves in the 4th tier domestically of Scottish football. Ally McCoist, the striker for Rangers in the 80s and 90s and in their heyday, is now the coach. We caught up with the manager before their trip to East Stirling.
Extremely worrying time for not just the individuals within the football club, the workforce, because first and foremost people could have lost their jobs, but indeed the fans as well, because we were very, very close to actually losing the team and the club going into extinction.
Home to one of the most famous derbies in world football, Glasgow was on the brink of losing one half of the old firm. Rangers' assets were eventually sold to a new company, a consortium led by English entrepreneur Charles Green. They acquired the club for £5.5 million. Despite being given a lifeline by the new ownership, Rangers weren't yet out of the woods. Rangers were only admitted to the Scottish Football League system on acceptance of a one-year transfer ban. They were starting from scratch.
Financially, of course, it was a disaster. The club had got into massive difficulties as a result of prior mismanagement. I came along with a consortium of investors. We acquired the club in June from the administrator, and of course at that point we're immediately thrown out of the SPL, pushed down into the 3rd division, and we've had to start rebuilding.
This summer saw 10 full internationals leave the club. Rangers unable to pay the salaries of some, while others like Carlos Bocanegra and Dorin Goyan were sold by the USA and Romania respectively, that their international careers would be put on hold if they stayed in the lower divisions in Scotland. Hope, it seemed, did not spring eternal.
If you compare it with what Juve were doing, where they were found guilty of match fixing, went down one league, we did nothing to affect the integrity of football, but we got pushed down 3 leagues. Complete madness.
The club was ripped apart. You know, we lost about 29 players or something like that, and you know, the rebuilding process was tough. The club didn't have a lot of money, so we had to bring a lot of the young boys in.
But despite then Scotland manager Craig Levein saying he would no longer pick players playing 4 divisions down, internationals Lee McCulloch, Neil Alexander and Lee Wallace decided to stay, while others like Ian Black and Kevin Kyle signed up to the project after Rangers' demotion. However, Ally McCoist's side initially struggled to adapt to life in the Scottish 3rd division. Rangers only went top of the league on match day 8 after beating semi-professional City rivals Queen's Park, and have won just twice away after 11 games played.
It's a little bit like the circus coming to town. You know, the hospitality from all the teams that we've faced on the road has been wonderful. But the opposition have certainly raised their games, as you would expect. And they look on, you know, Rangers coming to town, and the opportunity to get a scalp and beat one of the bigger clubs is pretty evident. So, the first few games we struggled to come to terms with it.
Everyone thought we'll walk this, we won't get beat, we won't concede any goals all season, we'll beat teams 5-6-0 every week. You know, and as you keep on hearing it, sometimes you start believing it, and when it wasn't happening, it found it harder, and then we were dropping points, finding it hard to beat teams, and you know, it sort of becomes a lot harder than what it should be. You know, so I think the mental side was a lot tougher than anything.
Scotland youth players such as Lewis McLeod and Barry Mackay have made the step up from the youth centre to the first team this season. McCoist, who scored a record 251 goals for Rangers after making his debut 29 years ago as a 21-year-old, insists he would have tried to marry youth and experience in the Rangers side anyway.
I've always been a big fan of Ajax teams and the Ajax model. They've got it just right in terms of bringing youth through and plucking good young players from other countries as well and progressing their careers. And I think we as a club could learn from that model.
The fans turning out in their droves, youth players being blooded in an environment they're becoming ever more accustomed to, and a handful of experienced internationals staying on to guide them. Promotion is looking ever more likely. The question now is, can the new chief executive return them to the heights of old?
The last two owners of Rangers were fans, and the club got in an awful mess. My worry is I'm starting to become a fan, and that might be dangerous, but I think I bring a level business head. My decisions are never based on whether I love the club or not. It's based on what's best for the club. In November I said that my plan now is to stay until Champions League music is played at Ibrox Stadium again.
We're back here at Gallowbank. We're still on the half-time